Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome once again to the CryptoManiacs Friday session. It is April the 8th. Exciting times to be had. Task, there was a little bit of fandom last week. We had some new people watching, and the ticker was down at the bottom, and they did not realize it was you until I removed the ticker and it showed your username. And people were like, "That was Taskmaster? I read all his posts. He's awesome." So, telling
So
you,
you're saying the intelligence level of our audience is increasing or decreasing, however it may be.
I would like to think it's increasing, but
I would like to think it's not possible. I would like to think we have the smartest audience in podcasting.
Definitely the smartest. So, welcome to the 17 million listeners we have. To you guys, we appreciate you subscribing, liking, sharing this, discussing it. But this week is always really about you guys because we ask the questions during the week and what are you stuck on crypto related. So that's what we're going to dive into. That's what we've got for you guys this week. So are you ready to dive into the questions, sir? Or?
Sure, if you want.
Sure. Why not? Okay. Let me just see how this shows up. Let's just let me go like this. Okay, perfect. Here we go. So let's dive in. Got questions, get answers. That's what we do each and every week here on the show. First one is up by DevPress, and they would like to know, is it possible to have the listener's affiliate payout paid in Hive or HBD? I have not done KYC of Uphold, so staying away from the centralized company. I mean, it would be super useful for many when promoting the listeners to get paid in Hive and HBD. Another question. What are some of the offers that are allowed and not allowed on listeners? Looking forward to the podcast. So yes, you can. We have a way to do it. All you got to do is let us know. You let us know. We've paid out quite a few people using just Hive and HBD. So yes, you can get paid your affiliate commissions from listeners in Hive and HBD. Just let us know. Drop us a line. Hit us up on Discord, on Telegram, and we will make it happen. So that's the first part. The second part of the question is, what's allowed? Well, obviously not like, we don't want like real nasty stuff in there. So as Task would say, we're only 3 minutes and 35 seconds into the podcast, but no cummy tokens related articles or pictures or things like that. We're trying to stay away from that.
How about snuff pictures or murder for hire advertisements? Is that okay?
No, we're trying to cut down on that too.
Okay. Just wondering. Okay.
Yeah, no. So yeah, but but the big thing is what the community likes and doesn't like. That's really the trick. And I think it's the trick for people that are really starting to dive into listeners is decide what the community likes. Because if the community likes what you're putting out there, they'll upvote you. If they don't, they'll downvote you. So I think that's kind of part of the secret, and I'm using little bunny ears for everyone listening on the podcast, is to kind of have your finger on the pulse of what the community likes, what they engage with, what they upvote, and what they don't. So we are not judge and jury. We're not telling you can't promote this website or that. We're just,
yeah, you put something out there and you get 30 views and 29 downvotes. I would say stay away from that next time.
Exactly. Yes. Judge it like that. That's the best way, I would say. If the community is downvoting you constantly, there's a reason why.
Unless you're John and he just gets that because, Blaine and me and Eliana and a bunch of other people just downvote John because it's John.
Yeah, let's say I didn't get any downvotes last night, but I barely got any upvotes either. So there's always that. Anyways. Thank you for the question, DevPress. Appreciate it. Tokenized Societies, hello, maniacs. Could you guys talk about how bonding is supposed to work in crypto? I'd like to learn more about that. Also, any plans on getting Elindos on the show again? I would like to hear what's new with Exode. So The two questions, I guess, the how bonding works, and then the Elindos question.
Well, Elindos, we don't know. I mean, we can try to fulfill that request. We have an open slate in May, so we'll try to get him on since that's what you want, and we'll see if he can work it in. He always seems willing to join us, but I don't know. Maybe I upset him last time. Who knows? So we'll try to get him on if that's what you want. Bonding. The only thing I can speak of is how it works for Polygon, which is based upon, I think, Ohm. But basically, you have the liquidity pools. And so let's say you put, and I'll just pick one. Let's say you put in P-Leo and Matic, and you put $1,000 into that pool. Mm-hmm. Now, there could be a bond that pays, let's say, 6% for 5 days, or 3% for 5 days, or whatever the percent is. Let's say 6%. If I take that $1,000 and I bond it, or I bond, my stake in the P-Leo Matic pool, I will get $1,060 at the end of 5 days, because I get the 1,000 back, plus there's a premium in this direction went up to me above and beyond to make me give up my stake in the liquidity pool. Why? Now that's paid out in Polygon. Now, why would the platform do that? Well, the protocol is doing that because now it owns $1,000, so 500 in P-Leo, 500 in Matic. It's in the liquidity pool. It's owned by the protocol. Any rewards that are earned from that $1,000 as a percentage of that liquidity pool feeds into the protocol, which then is distributed again to the liquidity providers in the kingdom. I guess not the liquidity providers, to the kingdom and Polygon. So that's the reason for it. Now, the reason I would do it is obviously if I can get $60 in 5 days, I can turn around, and if I want back in the pool, I can take my money and I can go buy P-Leo, I can go buy Matic and get back in the pool. So that's the idea of bonding. It's a way for the treasury, the protocol, to acquire assets using the native token, in this case, obviously Polygon, to pay out to get other assets and to keep them in the liquidity pool. Because now when the protocol owns it, guess what? That P-Leo and that Matic does not leave the liquidity pool. I mean, you'll have your back and forth where people will be selling more P-Leo and taking more Matic out. But, that $1,000 that's in there will stay in there. So that's how the protocol over time can ensure that there's the proper liquidity in these liquidity pools, and also at the same time create buy demand ultimately through the distribution of the holdings for the treasury by the Polygon off the open market, and then have to distribute it to the kingdoms and the protocol. So that's the reason behind bonding. So it's an opportunity for people with the assets to make a quick return. And if you figure 3%, 4% over a week, 2% over a week, whatever it amounts to, you put that on an annualized basis, that's a pretty good return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't been able to get any of my airdrop at Polycub now for a week.
There was a problem with it. Open it up and leave it.
Open it up and leave it?
Yeah. Sometimes takes a while. If you just go to it and wait a second or two and it's not there, then click off. Just open up and wait.
Okay. So just leave the tab open. All right.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Beautiful. Hope that helps, Tokenized. Thank you for the question. And thank you, Task, for answering my question, sir. No. Okay.
Yeah, we all had that problem.
Yeah.
They seem to fix it, but it's still. I found yesterday I had to open it up, leave it for a few minutes.
Okay.
No guarantee it'll show, but at least you got a better shot.
Yeah. There you go. Beautiful. Thank you for the question again, Tokenized. Next up is NBA 2020. He's watching in on Vim. Good morning, Chris. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you. Because of CryptoManiacs, I have a much better understanding of blockchains like Hive and what to look for when considering an investment in time and money. My question, inflation works well for increasing my staked Hive holdings. My question last week made me understand that the inflation of the Hive token is what makes the staked Hive have an APR of about 2.84 and the HBD savings return of 12. Inflation on the Hive blockchain is good as it pays out all the active members with stakes and savings. Why is inflation so bad for the US dollar? Can't the inflated value be paid back to the people, or is it as it is in Hive, or am I completely off base comparing apples to figs?
No, you're not off base, Chris. Most people misunderstand inflation. They think inflation bad, deflation good. Go read the history books about the Great Recession. That was an extremely deflationary period in the United States, and it wasn't a very good time for most people. The problem with inflation, as people understand it, Milton Friedman said inflation is always and exclusively a monetary phenomenon. So what inflation is actually, according to classical economic definition, inflation is an expansion of the money supply. So thus, if you have price increases due to an expansion of the money supply, i.e. more dollars out there, then you have inflation. If it's due to factors other than an increase in the money supply, then you don't have inflation, you just have price increases. And so very few people actually understand that, and they see price increases and the Fed's print money, so this is due to monetary phenomena. No, it's not, because the Fed doesn't create US dollars. So what you've had is what's called the supply side shock, and the supply chain was just obliterated. That coupled with, a war, oil prices, disruption in wheat, a lot of different things like that. Sawmills closing down, ranchers having to kill their stock because they can't get it to the slaughterhouse. All kinds of stuff took place. And so what we have is a situation where the quote unquote, the inflation, the CPI, the consumer price index, is at 40-year highs. And this obviously is a negative on people's households, on businesses, on budgets. Especially when food and energy go through the roof, you can't get around them. So that's why it's a bad thing, because you end up with a higher cost of living, at least for the period that those prices are inflated. What people don't pay attention to is all the things that go down in price. Like in the last 20 years, and I've shared this before, right after the turn of the century, I bought a laptop. It cost me $1,800. I bought it for work. I can guarantee you that was 1/100th of the laptop I got, my last laptop that I bought, that cost like $375. People don't realize that cell phone services have gone down. In 2005, I paid like $89 a month for, I forget what it was. I had like 1,500 texts and I had 500 peak minutes. That's how it was back then. And certainly no data, because everything was a little Nokia analog or smartphone. So, that's how things change. And what people don't realize is and this is one of the reasons why I say all along, there is no way in hell Bitcoin will be the reserve currency, because if you do, you will have economic collapse. If you do not have an expansion of the money supply, and again, keep in mind what the Fed prints, what the ECB prints, those are not the currency. It's not euros, it's not dollars, it's not yen, it's not pounds. Those are distributed by the commercial banking system via loans. That's what a credit-based monetary system is. But you need monetary expansion if you are going to have societal advancement, at least economically and technologically. Why? Because when people do research for cancer, they want to be paid. When you want electric vehicles, plants need to be built, research needs to be done, equipment needs to be ordered, construction workers need to be paid, people need to work on those lines. So when you start to look at what's taking place, and everybody says, oh, the purchasing power of the dollar decreased, 99% since 1913. Oh, yeah. What was the price of an airline ticket in 1913? What was the price of a rocket? What was the price of a plane? What was the price of an iPhone or a laptop or a satellite or a color TV? I mean, these are all things that didn't exist in 1913. And by the way, you probably would not want a house from 1913 in the 1913 condition, because you wouldn't have air conditioning, you wouldn't have 220 power, so no dryers, no oven. You might not even had depending on where you were, you might not have even had windows. You might have been just using boards and mosquito netting. So inflation, you don't want rampant inflation, but the economic growth comes from an expanding money supply. If you have a decrease in money supply, you are not going to have an expansive economy. I mean, it's just that plain and simple. And so take that concept of hive and translate it over to the rest of the economy. Yes, rising prices are a problem. And that's the case of too much money chasing too few goods or services. That's what everybody looks at. But what if the number of goods and services decrease and decline? And oh, by the way, just as to finish up here as an aside, you are going to see over the next 15 years extremely deflationary environments in many of your developed countries. And it's going to be very, very painful for people because of the simple fact of the demographics. Japan, they invented quantitative easing. They're on like QE 100. And they were in 20 plus years of deflation. Why? Because of their demographics. And those countries in the developed world, which is most of them, that is not importing people, immigration, which the United States does well with, Canada's doing well with. Most of your other countries that are facing this do crap with immigration. They're going to be in trouble and we're already seeing it with Italy. We're starting to see it rise up in Germany. China's facing this, and Russia is really facing it. China and Russia are really at the cusp of becoming another Japan. So, that's where there's a lot of false narrative about economics. I write this under my Leo account quite often because, what you see online from the gold bugs and the Bitcoin maximalists, most of what you see is not based upon solid foundation of what happens with the banking system or the monetary system.
There you go. Little comment here too. My Path to Fire said central bankers get all the money, at least with Hive. The inflation goes back into the people.
Well, but see, there's the central bankers, they don't get the money because they don't create the money. It's the commercial banking system that gets the money. When you go for a mortgage, John, you're buying a house, you said. So if you go for a mortgage, and let's say it's a $250,000 house, just picking a number out. So you got $250,000 house or a $250,000 mortgage, whatever the price of the house is, who cares? But the mortgage is $250,000. Just for round numbers to make it easy math, what your bank will have to put up is $25,000 in deposits. They'll have to dip into their reserves for $25,000. But at closing, the person selling the house is going to get $250,000 at closing. The bank puts up $25,000. Where'd the other $225,000 come from? They made it up out of thin air. This is the fractional reserve lending system that, people attack all the time, but they seem to overlook. That's how money is made. So that's how your US dollar and Canadian dollar and euro are made, by the commercial banking system. So if people go and take out loans, the banks are creating money out of thin air. They only have to put up a portion of the reserves. And as long as you keep paying on the loan, everything's okay. Obviously, if you default, then you have monetary contraction because the bank has to write that off, or whoever ends up holding that note has to write it off. So, what the Federal Reserve does, and most of these central banks, they're really not even central banks, because if they could go in times of economic headwinds and say, you know what, the economy's not doing well, we need to pump a whole lot of cash in here. If they could do that and get that into people's hands, then actually they might be doing some central banking. But they can't do that because they don't create the money supply. So they have to go around and do these funky games of quantitative easing and buying of securities and manipulating the interest rates and all this stuff to try to prod expectations and to get the banks to lend, which I'll tell you perfectly honestly, you are not going to find a bank in the world when they're sitting there in their board meeting or in their Monday morning meeting saying, oh, by the way, the economy's going to shit, let's increase our lending. That's the last thing they're going to do. They are going the exact opposite direction. They are going to operate in their own self-interest and say, you know what? We're not going to put any money out there. I mean, we're only going to lend to the best of the best. And that's where the problem comes in, is you have economic contraction and they can't get money into the system. So they do quantitative easing. They try to lower the interest rates. I mean, if somebody's about to lose their job, are they going to go out and take out a mortgage? Probably not. So either demand weakens or the bank's incentive to lend weakens. And so that's where these central banks are not really central banks, and they just use gimmickry and everybody listens. I mean, look at the Federal Reserve. They raised interest rates last month, but look at what happened to interest rates since December. They started going up. Well, why did they go up if the Federal Reserve only raised interest rates in March? Because the Federal Reserve said they were going to raise interest rates. So that's how the expectations work, but it only works for a period of time, because then everybody wakes up and says, you know what the Fed's doing doesn't work, and things are shit. And then all of a sudden, they go in the opposite direction. So I always believe long-term, the Fed's a contrarian indicator. Whatever they say they're trying to accomplish, bet the opposite. It'll happen
bet the opposite.
18 months to 24 months.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's madness. Well, there you go. Thank you for the question, Chris. And that was a good one. So Chappelle's up. Have you noticed a decrease in the average numbers of emails open since the reputation symptom was implemented, or any other notable changes? Not really.
I haven't noticed anything, but I only sent out one email.
Yeah, not really. They're pretty much the same, which is a good thing and bad thing. The changes, slowly people are using the downvote button a little bit more. We did that little offer. We said, listen, take the 2-week challenge, go buy 100 CTP, stake it in listeners, and if you absolutely hate it, let us know. We'll buy the CTP off you. Just put it on the market and we'll buy it off you. So,
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were trying to get people, because the number one excuse people had was, I don't have enough CTP to vote. So it's like, okay, well, 100 CTP, give or take, is about $1 right now. So go buy a dollar worth of CTP, stake it in listeners, and if you hate it after 2 weeks, you freaking hate it, you think it's the worst thing ever, let us know. We'll buy the CTP back from you. No question.
How many votes does $1 get you?
I'll get you quite a few. It's not going to get you thousands, but it'll get you into the 30, 40 votes.
Well, so I mean, I don't know about the rest of everybody, but that's about the number of emails I get a day: 30, maybe 40, 50, somewhere in there.
I mean, now ask me how many people took us up on that offer.
Zero.
Yeah. But I guarantee you, next week when we bring up like you need to use your downvotes, there'll be people that'll say, "I don't have enough." It's like I just this sometimes, dude. This is something we've prided. What we've said CTP was the no excuse platform. Like literally show up, contribute, you'll get rewarded. We giving you all the tools to make it happen. There's still people that will say, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's not like you're saying throw $300. I mean, 100 CTP is what you say, $1 or $2. It's like
it's about $1.25 or something.
If you can't invest a couple bucks into yourself, I mean, what do you think of yourself? I mean,
and there's no risk to it. That's the thing. Like, like, look, maybe whatever your situation is, but if it's horrible, if it's such an awful experience after a couple of weeks, we'll refund you. We will literally buy the CTP off you for Hive, and no questions asked. You don't even need to give us War and Peace. You don't need to explain it. Just say, I didn't like it, John. I hated it, Blaine. Eliana, this was awful. No problem. We'll buy it off you.
So if you could do 30 emails a day with 100 CTP, that's at 5 a piece. That's 150. You're sending out over 1,000 emails, so you'll be able to send one email. If your email's decent, you will get validated.
Right.
And I mean, on 1,000 emails, you'll get 20 upvotes. You should, if it's send something, a decent post off Hive, PD or whatever, and you'll get, I don't know, probably $25 worth of listeners.
Yep.
I mean, you'll get at least, I think the lowest I've gotten is like 12 listeners off one of my my emails. So, $2, I guess your buyback's $1.50. That's $18. So you spend $1.25, you get $18, and you got to go through 30 emails a day. I mean, come on, people.
I just work here.
Simple math realizes that's a hell of a freaking return. Then you take your listener, sell it, then you sell the CTP back to Blaine and John.
Yep.
Or maybe you do it again the next week and make another $18.
Just saying.
I mean, math is fun. I mean, it's just use a little arithmetic and multiplication, and it's a nice ROI.
Yep. Lots of people are seeing it, so that's why we made it no excuses for people, because we want more people using the votes.
Of course,
that's what we want. So,
of course, and you clowns are adding more to the platform. By the way, I got my second shaky. Do I get a prize for getting 3, or is it 30?
No, you get a hug from Blaine.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So I'll be looking for that third one then, so I can get a hug from Blaine.
Beautiful.
That's the other thing. I mean, and I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the audience here. And maybe it's preaching to the choir for a lot of people listening. But if you are listening, John and Blaine are dedicated to keep adding to this platform. So I don't have their roadmap. I don't know what's going through their minds. But I can assure you that their plans for listeners, what it'll look like, I don't know, October 1st compared to today, will be remarkably different. There will be more things added, more features, more functions. And, what have we seen in the first couple months? We saw the shaky. We saw the reputation system. Okay, all right. Either of those earth-shattering? No, but they're simple things that add to the user experience. And, we can count on more coming. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I was so heavily into Leo Finance early on, is because I witnessed the way Cal operated and how he kept building. And Blaine and John are the same way. They're going to keep adding to listeners. So if you get involved now, 6 months, 7 months from now, it's going to be a much better platform with more features, more options, and probably more ways to be rewarded. And because of that, I think it's worth it to stick around and say, you know what, this might not be sensible, or it may be a little difficult in the early days, but stick with it. The benefits will be there down the road. And from what I could see, and I don't see a whole lot, but the ones that I see writing about it, they seem to get the payoffs, the benefits very quickly. So, it's Listeners is a microcosm of Hive. And John and I talk all the time. Spend the time learning about Hive. Yes, it's a pain in the ass. Yes, it's confusing. Why are there 4 keys? We don't know, but there are 4 keys. So learn what the hell the keys are. And so,
Right.
it's the same thing with Listeners. And, maybe I'm a little way out in left field here, but I think Listeners has the potential to be a very impactful application on Hive. And all new users and all new content creators on Hive should be using Listeners as a way to gain exposure. And yes, it may take you a little while to get to the point where you can get the benefits of Listeners, but stick with it, build up those emails, get them in there. Then when you get 1,000, 1,200 of them, send out, a post you made.
Yeah.
And, tag some people, make it known, put it in, if it's a decent post, somebody like Jimmy will upvote it. I'll upvote it. John will upvote it. I mean, there's Eliana, there's plenty of people. This Is My Life will upvote it. I mean, these are the people who are around. Blaine will upvote it as long as it's not done by John. He'll upvote it.
Exactly. Yep, absolutely. If you have Blaine on your side, he'll upvote it. If he's anti-John, he will downvote it.
Yeah, don't say you're friends with John, then he might downvote you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got tons of stuff coming. Tons of use case for Listeners, tons of use case for CTP. And I mentioned this the other day. I think it was in a comment or something. It's like we are long-term thinking, and the problem with that is when there's like one marketer, one developer, one customer service person in a company, we're not the fastest. So we do our best, but big picture, we have these huge goals for these platforms. So what you're seeing, just like you said, is just scratching the surface of what we're going to be doing. So, and that sounds like such a hype kind of markety thing to say, but
well, let me counter that and say, yes, it does. Except in 3 months, not even 3 months, a little under 3 months, we've seen progress. So is it as fast as some people like? Probably not. It's probably not as fast as you would like. But, okay, you can say, oh, well, the shaky's nothing. Oh, well, the reputation system, who cares? But what does that really do? Okay, maybe in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't do a whole lot, but it's building, it's adding, it's new features. I don't know what the next feature you guys have planned. Maybe that'll be a major home run. Maybe it'll just be another thing like the reputation system that, oh, that's nice, that's cool, and just is another thing that creates another aspect of the user experience. And I go back to Facebook and freaking Farmville. That stupid game I got when I was on Facebook decades ago, it was like I got hit with that like 1,000 times. It's like, who wants to play a stupid game like this? But evidently millions of people played a stupid game like that. So, sometimes the goofy is what gets the masses really excited. So, just stick with it. Think, John and I just beat this horse to death. Long-term thinking. Where will Listeners be in 12 to 18 months? That's the big question. Not where will it be next week or where is it right now. Where it'll be 12 to 18 months, that gives enough time for development, for growth. And, in the meantime, just keep using it and building your own influence, if you will, within the Listeners community.
Yep, for sure. Thank you for the question. Jay Fang is up. He said, just wondering, but do you guys also get quite a few errors on Polygon when doing some Polycub stuff? It just seems that there are times when transactions fail, but I notice that doesn't take any away from the gas fees. I tend to just wait because I want to make sure everything is still fine. However, I wonder if there is some solution. Here, you want to know the truth, Jay Fang? I freaking hate anything that's not Hive. It's awful. It's an awful user experience. All these BSC tokens, Ethereum, they're awful. They're the most horrible user experience on the planet, but for some reason, these people all love it. And I get why Leo does it, because it's exposing it. There's a lot more money out there. I get that. But as a user of this stuff, it's freaking awful. I just did what Tass said. Leave. This is what I just... So I left it, and I just kind of took a peek, and it showed up. Ask me what happened now. It disappeared again. Why? Why did that happen? Why is it not like it's there and then it's not there and it's there? We have it so good on Hive.
Well, that might be part of the interface. They've had some interface problems, but you know, did you claim it when it was there?
No, I didn't. So now it's gone again. So
well, Control R it and.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've hard refreshed quite a few times. So I'll never understand why. Well, I understand why it's so popular, because it's where the money is. It's where
and you can't do it on Hive. I mean, Hive has no smart contract capability.
Right.
So any of this stuff we can't do on Hive right now. You'd have to do it second layer, and what does that mean? Deal with Hive engine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's limited. Deluxe is built in their stuff, but Steve has the same problem as Blaine. He's just one person.
Yep. So yes, Jay Fang, I have quite a few errors, quite a few. But I know what you're saying. Like sometimes when you bring up MetaMask and you do the transaction, there'll be an error there. It doesn't touch any of your gas fees, but then you just got to refresh and you got to go through it again, and it shows.
Yeah, that isn't even Polygon. That's I think a lot of times that's MetaMask, and sometimes you have to go out, close it down, and reboot your MetaMask.
Yeah. You're not alone, sir. NFT BBG says, what can you say about DSO? Any similarities or differences to Hive? Is this DSO?
What?
DSO, decentralized social. It's that thing that they launched it like last year, where you had to buy your Twitter account or something. Remember?
I don't know what the hell that is. So.
Yeah,
that one's beyond me. I don't know.
I know of it, but I've never used it, and I never really got into it.
Beyond me.
There's a lot of these things that scream they're Web3, and they scream that they're decentralized social media. They're not. They're not.
Well, remember, I presume your feed looked the same as me. Remember, SoMe for 6 months was just filling up my feed, and they were supposed to, do something, go live early in the year. And it's like, where are they now? I mean, it's whether it's the Steam killers, Steemic killers, Hive killers, right, Ethereum killers. We have all these killers, but you know what? Hive's still standing, Ethereum's still standing, much to John's dismay. But it's like everything is all these killers, and it's like, where are they? Library was supposed to be like the greatest thing since video since sliced bread. And that's not turned out so good. And then what was that one? What was that Bcash one you were using, John?
Noise Cache. Oh, dude. Oh man.
What the hell happened to that?
Oh, dude, they've totally abandoned it. Like the last time the official Noise Cache account said anything was like 3 months ago. They've done, and I've made it. I've done quite a few posts like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What? Nothing. Just crickets. Absolute crickets. Crickets. And it's just it's not decentralized. It's not.
Well, it's not decentralized, and they were paying out of their pockets.
So there's no way to create the funds.
Yeah, so they we're going back to Chris. They're not using inflation. They are using, and see, that goes back to what Chris was talking about, the incentivization. They're having to incentivize out of money that's already been mined, because Bcash uses the proof of work.
Right.
So, it's like somebody has to fund that. And, my question is, how long were they going to do it? I mean, would Hive have any chance if Block Trades and They Call Me Dad had to fund the reward pool for years on end? At that point, it's going to be no. So, that's where, Chris, you look at the inflation. The key is to look at the inflation rate and look at the growth rate. Everybody talks about the inflation rate. Well, Leo Finance has a high inflation rate, but guess what? The growth rate of Leo Finance is much higher. I mean, I think Leo Finance has a 25% inflation rate, but it has a huge growth rate, and the growth rate's only growing with all the different use cases for Leo. By the way, are you excited to get your ad revenue?
I saw that, and
I guess let's finish the questions and we can go on that.
Yes, I am definitely. That's got me staking the majority of my Leo now. I used to take like a little bit and go buy Cub, but I'm like, I'm exposed to Cub. I want to get more Leo. Anyways, yes, my path to fire says, can you tell us the different ways to earn listeners' tokens? The only way to earn them. The only way to earn it is from getting your sites verified. Your sites, your blog posts, or your
email validated.
Your emails validated. So if you get, that's the only way to earn them. Also, you can earn them from staking them. So you have the two ways. You have the passive and the active. So the active is actually using listeners saying, okay, I want to get my email validated. Once it gets the 20 upvotes, you're good to go. You get a chunk of the rewards pool that day. The other way, though, is that we take some of that and we put it for the passive. So the more listeners tokens you stake, the more of that chunk you're going to get every day as well. So there's the two ways of getting it, the passive and the active. That's the only two ways to earn it. Then, of course, you can go buy them. But yeah, it's not.
Can I open up the listener suggestion box and drop something in there?
Sure. Should I tell Blaine to come to the show so he can listen? Because
I mean, it's you can be the messenger. Let him shoot you.
Yeah, perfect.
How about this? And I don't know what the tokenomics are, but like you said, the only way to earn listeners actively is to send out your email and get it validated. Mm-hmm. Well, a big part of the platform is reading emails. Could you rework the tokenomics to have, and you already have there's your task bar or whatever it is that shows you what you've done and what you've completed. You log in 7 days or whatever every day of the month, and however many emails. Could you set a level of, let's say, opening up 500 emails? If you open up 500 emails over the week, that'll earn you a little bit of listeners. Wouldn't it be a smart idea to take some of the listener inflation and direct it to those opening and reading the emails? Because that's very important. And that's part of what you want to incentivize too. And with the low open rate, maybe that'll get people to say, okay, I should spend some time each day opening up these emails, and I need to open up, whatever it amounts to, and you can work out the numbers, 200 a week or 300 a week or 500 a week, whatever number it hits. I mean, I think that might be a way to incentivize people to open up, and another way to get listeners out there, especially for those people who don't have the resources to send out emails but once a week. Now they can participate.
I will go to the man in the mirror and ask him. The man behind the curtain, the great Wizard of Oz. I will ask him.
Well, I just think it's the open rate is low, and not everybody is a content creator. I mean, Jay Fang's on here. Jay Fang, doesn't create a ton of content in terms of posts. I mean, yes, he could grab somebody else's post and send it out, and he could do that. But, he may also be a guy where, hey, if he could earn a few listeners each week just by opening up the emails, he'd be happy with.
But they do earn CTP for doing that, right? Like that's what you get for reading the emails and validating them.
You get
the readers get CTP. The senders get listeners.
I would say the listeners, you might want to look at the tokenomics. I think the listeners would encourage people more, but
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'll take it to I'll take it to Blaine. See what he says. So there you go. Good suggestion. Thank you, Task. Thank you, listeners, idea man.
I don't want to do too much of that. Blaine will start downvoting my shit then.
I know. Look out.
Jackass, give me a longer to-do list here. Oh, here's your email. Downvote.
Yep. Perfect. Fiber Frau says, how long do you think it'll take the politicians to realize DeFi is something they don't have the ability to regulate? That it is faster, more agile than their plots and agencies and oppressive tax laws? Well, I mean, the government will always try to take stuff. I mean, that's just,
that's what they do.
They're really good at it, right? Yeah.
The answer is never. I mean, look at these jackasses in the United States who are leading the charge of sanctions against Russia. Even I know sanctions don't work. So to expect a bunch of politicians and bureaucrats to clue in, I think is rolling the dice, and then B, admitting that they don't know and they're wrong ain't ever going to happen. So I think the answer is they're going to try to control it. And the only way, it's kind of like, I always go back to the illegal download of music.
Right. Yeah.
We're 20 years after Napster and they still can't stop the illegal download of music. So
Yeah, exactly.
what makes them think they're going to be able to stop anything that's truly decentralized? That said, notice the word truly, because a lot of what's out there with DeFi and blockchain is not really decentralized, and they can go after a laboratory, a foundation, a company, that can be targeted. But, DeFi on Hive, HBD in the savings account, can't touch HBD, can't touch Hive, can't touch the savings account. It's totally outside their reach.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're going to be waiting a long time for any type of politicians to get their head out of their rear end. So, we can hope. Thank you for the question, though, Kimberly. Appreciate it. Best starts our last question. He says, "Hey guys, my question is, what is the price of listeners token driven by? What is it driven by? The market, really. I mean, what the market decides to see its value at. That's really what all this stuff is really driven. Now, I'm sure there's factors that might determine certain things. If there's development, if people are excited about it, if it's a new project, it's got people talking. All that type of stuff gets people to FOMO into things. It also gets people to FUD out of things. So what's it driven by?
That's where that emotion. U word that you use comes in.
I like new words. What new word?
No, that's where that U word.
Oh, U word. Yes.
Utility.
Yeah, utility. Yes, good point. Right. So, like, if you had a whole, like, if listeners, like, walked your dog, did your dishes, and planned your week for you, that's massive utility. Price would go through the roof.
But what if you don't have a dog and you eat off paper plates? Then I guess you have no use.
Take your paper plates and throw them away for you.
And then you have no use for listeners.
Well, it could feed your lizard then if you have a lizard. I have a lizard. I have my lizard right back there in the terrarium right there. So, yeah.
It's like anything. I mean, listeners is no different than. Don't look at the token. Look at the project. Look at the listener project. What we're just talking about. Where will this thing be in 12 to 18 months? If you think that John and Blaine and whoever else is involved in this is going to keep growing and expanding the platform and the project, then you would presume, and we can't guarantee it, but the token will ultimately reflect that, depending on if the tokenomics are somewhat sane and they're just not totally ludicrous. If they build more utility, which, they're doing certain things to try to increase the utility of the site and do things. I mean, they just took my suggestion or John took it down and wrote it down and is going to stick it on Blaine's.
I have it written down.
He's going to email Blaine, and if I get hit with virtual tomatoes, then we know Blaine thought my idea was stupid.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, man, it all comes down to utility, but also I believe that markets play a big factor in the price of stuff.
In the price, yes.
Yeah. So there you go. Anyways, thank you guys for the questions. Task probably wants to announce a little bit of Leo finance news gossip scandal as well, because that kind of piqued my interest. I know, I made the comment on the post when I did it. I'm like, stake more, get more, sold. It's just stupidity.
Look, I
easy.
didn't see if you answered my comment. Can you do that with one button?
Well, I can. No, I'm pretty sure I can.
Okay.
They
Right up your alley then.
Yeah, I'm
Actually,
better,
you don't
man.
even need to do anything, because once it's staked, then it just keeps rolling in, I guess, each time whatever interval they do that conversion.
That's why I like Cub Kingdoms, because I don't need to think. It just does its thing. I don't need to think. So same with Leo. It's like Leo. Okay, so I obviously delegate a whole bunch of my Hive power to Leo Voter. I just sit there and collect Leo every single day, not only from my content creation, but from delegating to Leo Voter. I used to take a chunk of that and go buy Cub. I was like, well, let me just stake it now. So
okay, you want the Leo finance quick rundown, what's happening. I'll get to that one in a second. I think there's something more important. First off is one of the later posts. They did a list of everything that's coming, including the lending platform. But next up is bonding on Polygon.
Right.
After that is supposedly from this post, HBD liquidity pool.
Right. Saw that.
And that's a big deal, if you ask me. That is really something that could certainly change things, not only on Polycup, but can certainly start changing things on Hive. And this investor dilemma that Cal and Neil talk about a lot is really coming to play. And the post earlier in the week about the ad revenue, where do you put your Leo now? As John was saying, he was taking a portion of his Leo, selling it, getting Cub, and adding more to his Cub, which adds more to his Polycub airdrop, which will add more to airdrops in the future. But now he's saying, well, maybe I'll just put it all and stake it all. The numbers roughly are 4 to 10% APY based upon doing, right now they're doing about $44,000 a month in ad revenue. This is true Web 3.0 concept, because we know you go on Twitter, there's ads all over the place, but you as a user get zero of that revenue. Now, if you are staking some Leo and you use Leo Finance, you are going to be getting a portion of the revenues. Mm-hmm. The APY said 4 to 10% because they said, well, could this thing go up to $10,000 a month in ad revenue, which certainly is possible. If there's some growth on the platform, then all of a sudden your Leo will be growing at a 10% rate per year. Now, keep in mind that's USD. You're not going to end up with 10% more Leo per se. That'll be because they're buying it on the open market using BTC. So obviously, the only price that matters there is your USD price. But I wrote a post last night, and here's the question. And I'm sure you've seen some of the posts about the SEO and trying to get backlinks and doing all that stuff. And you think about it, as a community, we have a tremendous opportunity because there's so many people putting up so much different information every day. What if we 10x that? What if we go from 4,000 a month to 40 grand a month? Now you're getting a 40% APY or APR, excuse me, on your Leo stake. I mean, and 40 grand a month is $500,000 a year. But let's be honest, in the online marketing world,
right?
I mean, online advertising, 500 grand. Let's put it this way: you're not going to be scaring Zuckerberg. Facebook isn't really going to be that concerned. No. So, what happens if you start pulling in $1 million, $2 million a year just in ad revenue? And again, you're still a very small fish, but that is really the potential. And I did ask this in the blog post. Will this apply to Project Blank? And the answer was yes. And of course, John and I are very, very excited about that application because I think that application easily within the first year could have 100,000 users. And just think of the traffic that comes with that and the ad revenue that comes with that. So this is really big news. I think people underestimate how significant it can be because they're looking at the things in terms of right now. But you start to look at the potential, and all of this starts to feed in. And this is why Leo Finance going in 18 directions at one time. People said, well, why are they doing that token? Why are they doing this DeFi? Why are they? And it's like you're all over the place because at some point it all starts together, come together, and they start leveraging each other. And so now you have Project Blank. Now you have Hive Stats. Now you have some of these other things with ads on them starting to feed into the value of the Leo token.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
Yep. Well, it got me excited to stake more Leo. So, even though I was staking Leo no matter what, I was just taking some of it and putting it into Cub. So, and that airdrop is ending in, the Polycub one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But the more Cub you get, the more you're going to get of these other ones. Just like you said, it's just going to be this beautiful, wonderful thing. So it's good to be an octopus and have your tentacles everywhere. Right?
Yeah. Well, it gets into, we had this question last week or it was last week. And, where do I put my money? How much stuff can you focus on? And that's the problem. How much stuff can you truly focus upon? It gets very difficult with all these options, and you can't be within everything. And even within the Leo Finance family, if you will, you're having to make choices. There's an opportunity cost. It's like, do I reduce the amount of extra Cub I'm adding by staking more Leo, or do I keep up what I'm doing? I've been taking my Leo and adding more Polycub, X-Polycub, actually. So that's where my focus has been. Do I want to change that?
Yeah.
This is something I have to consider.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's the gift that keeps on giving, this crazy blockchain, because it's like you just get involved.
But why is that? Because Leo Finance, you got Cal and his 12 or 15 developers. You got Block Trades and his 30 developers or 10 developers or whatever he has. You got Howu out there. You got Dan and Starkers developing. You got Blaine out there developing. I mean, it's just, you have people, Splinterlands, of course, Matt's out, Yaba is out there hacking away at code and developing. So, that's why it's a gift that keeps on giving, because there's people actually building shit. And this goes back to what we had the question earlier. What are projects doing? Going back to what Chris said, if there's no growth, the inflation rate is going to kill your project.
Yeah.
But if you have growth, I don't give a shit what what listeners' inflation rate is. If you guys over the next year grow at 300%, and whatever you apply that 300% metric to people or whatever, it doesn't matter. Your inflation rate is that. I mean, it doesn't matter. Your growth is gonna far exceed whatever you're out there incentivizing with the token, and that's what you want to do. You guys are building business. You're looking at growth. It's like, how do we make this platform more successful, more appealing to people? You're not looking at building a farming app where, okay, how much can we make in the first 60 days and then we'll rug pull this.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what crypto's full of.
Indeedy. Dude, we did it. Another Friday session. Done. Plans for the weekend, sir? No? I always ask this. It's just to get your reaction. You know that, right?
I'm going to, one of these days I'll give you a different answer, but I think I'll do some posting, make a couple of videos, go for my walks, hopefully remember to do my ActiveFit posts. I go for the walks and I forget to post things.
Same.
But anyway, maybe send you some nasty DMs on on Discord. Send you. Well, I will invite you to my murder for hire online session. I
Trying
mean,
to cut down.
they for an affiliate program, they got some of the best payout rates there are. I mean,
One of the best affiliate commissions I heard.
some of the best affiliate commissions. You line somebody up with a good paying job, they will give you a nice chunk of that.
I'm trying to cut down on the murder for hire stuff, but thank you for the offer. Yeah. Guys, thank you very much for listening in. You have a great weekend. Appreciate you. Everyone in Vim that came by and swung by, appreciate you. YouTube and Facebook, man, you're killing me, man. How is Hive beating you in engagement? Like, what the hell's going on? Anyways, thank you guys for coming. Have a great weekend. We'll see you.